With the start of the ground invasion of Gaza, approved by the War Cabinet, and although the Merkava tanks are the stars of the advance, there is another armored vehicle, much less celebrated, that does a good part of the heavy lifting. Since the beginning of mechanization, bulldozers have been used in war scenarios, and during the World War II, they became widely known in the form of the Caterpillar D7, produced in the United States between 1940 and 1944. More than 10,000 units of this bulldozer were manufactured and used in the most diverse theaters of operation from Europe to the Pacific. And there are some famous photos that show this bulldozer in action, even though it is a vehicle that is very little known and also celebrated. Caterpillar is a manufacturer specialized in heavy vehicles for construction and mining, and in 1954 it presented the first prototypes of its new D9 bulldozer. The model, which initially had a 286 horsepower engine, was such a solid project that it became one of the most reliable and widespread platforms in the entire world. In 1977, Caterpillar introduced the most significant change to the external appearance of its bulldozer, which was precisely the elevated drive sprocket system. This innovation reduces wear and shock load throughout the system, also improving traction, allowing the D9 to have the pulling capacity to move up to 71 tons. The model has 3 different blade configurations and can also be equipped with a rear ripper. They were seen in construction sites all over the world, and soon Israel bought its first units to use in its own civil construction back in 1955. But in the following year, 1956, with the Sinai War, these excavators ended up making their debut on the military field, helping the troops of Israel to overcome various blockades and obstacles along the way. So, Israel used civilian versions without any kind of armor also in the Six-Day War, in 1967 in the Yom Kippur War, in 1973, and also in the invasion of Lebanon in 1982. During the Yom Kippur War, the excavators opened passages and cleared minefields. They also pulled several bridges and were essential for crossing the Suez Canal, dismantling much of the sand blockades made by the Egyptians. One of these D9 excavators was also the first motorized vehicle to reach the summit of Mount Hermon, which is the highest point of the Golan Heights in Syria, which were occupied by Israel and were reinforced precisely to prevent their use by the Syrians in that war. In Operation Peace for Galilee, in 1982, the invasion of Lebanon, the use of excavators was even more intense, which made the D9 excavator practically a frontline piece of equipment. This made their operators priority targets for enemy forces. So the Israeli High Command responded by ordering an armor kit for the excavator, which included protection for the cabin, the engine, and the hydraulic systems. They also added a heavily reinforced blade to the front, which increased the total weight of the excavator by about 15 tons. This first armored version of the D9L excavator was introduced in 1986, and it is crewed by a commander and an operator who are protected by steel armor, and also a cabin with bulletproof glass. The operators of this machine are usually reservists or veterans of the Israel Defense Forces with experience in civil construction, and it takes 2 months of training to become an operator of one of these armored excavators. The Caterpillar D9N model was imported in the 90s and became the platform for the second generation of Israeli armor, with added belly protection to the model. To protect it specifically from mines and other improvised explosive devices, the vehicle became very important for Israeli operations and ended up being loved by Israeli soldiers, who started calling it Dubi, which means teddy bear in Hebrew. But it was really in the year 2000, with the beginning of the Second Intifada, that the D9 truly showed all its capabilities. During the conflicts with the Israelis in the Gaza Strip and also in the West Bank, the D9 proved to be very resistant to automatic weapon fire, such as rifles and machine guns, as well as against rocket launchers and landmines. And the bulldozers were widely used to demolish shelters and tunnels, and also to clear the way for the Israeli troops. A particular use of the D9 by Israel at that time was precisely to destroy the houses of families of suicide terrorists identified by Israeli intelligence, a practice that was considered revenge against this type of attack. Urban warfare also created another very frequent use for armored excavators. The situation faced by the Israeli army was advancing through very densely populated areas where armed resistance fighters hid inside houses and other buildings, causing several casualties among the Israelis once those soldiers entered these houses to check whether they were cleared or not. So, one of the Israeli commanders on the front line created a tactic called Nohal Ser Lachatz, or pressure cooker procedure, which simply consists of identifying a house suspected of containing resistance fighters and running the excavator over it. What usually happened was that the resistance fighters would come out before being crushed by the machine and would be captured or killed by the Israelis. The D9 bulldozers became famous worldwide for the first time on March 16, 2003, when a young American woman, 23 years old, named Rachel Corrie, who was an activist for the Palestinian cause, was protesting near a group of bulldozers that were destroying Palestinian buildings in Gaza. The versions of what happened still differ to this day, with some saying that the bulldozer intentionally ran over Rachel, and others saying that the bulldozer operator simply didn't see her and ended up crushing her under its tons of steel. In 2005, Israel introduced its third generation of armor, adding a cage-type armor to the cabin, which provides extra protection against rocket launchers, as well as a Mitraille Kalashnikov machine gun mounted on top of the cabin, and also grenade launchers, turning the D9 into an offensive firing platform as well. For situations and environments where the crew's life would be in great danger, that is, when the level of enemy resistance is considered excessive, Israel also developed a remotely controlled version of the armored excavator called Aurora Thunder. And this one has a series of cameras that transmit images to an operator positioned dozens of kilometers away in the rear. The machine is extremely well protected, but it is not 100% invulnerable. In July 2014, during Operation Protective Edge, or the 2014 Gaza War, one of the D9 bulldozers was attacked by an anti-tank missile which killed the operator and injured the machine's commander. And it was precisely this case that led the Israel Defense Forces in 2019 to introduce the fourth generation of armor, this time for the newest bulldozers in the D9R and D9T models, which include an Iron Fist active protection system, a system also used on Merkava tanks that protects the vehicle against anti-tank missiles. And for the future, there are already plans to install directed energy weapons, that is laser weapons, on the armored D9 bulldozers. At this very moment, in the 2023 war between Israel and Hamas, the armored bulldozers are clearing the way through the buffer zone between Israel and the Gaza Strip for the Merkava tanks and also the armored infantry vehicles which are beginning the ground invasion of the area. Well, if you like this video, then share it with your friends and give us a thumbs up. And also subscribe to War Room so you don't miss anything else. We'll keep you informed, but also check out our premium video section. The complete story of the atomic bomb by War Room is already available. There are 3 episodes packed with information, totaling 3 hours of documentary like you've never seen before. To truly understand this definitive episode of our recent history, become a channel member to access SDG Premium and enjoy. So did you like our content? If you want the War Room to keep producing these videos, consider supporting us. You can help us by sending us a Pix or by joining our campaign on Apoyacy, where you'll get access to our exclusive WhatsApp group and have your name shown here in the videos. The link is right here in the description. Well, if you like this video, don't forget to share it with your friends too. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Sala de Guerra so you don't miss anything else. I'll stop here for now. Thank you again for watching, and here's a big hug from Sala de Guerra